Gragas Rumble's the matchup we're going to see.
Okay, so this is the first time that Smeb has played the Gragas in top. Huni was, I think, the first one to bring it out here in the LCK. They lock it in, and now...
There's a lot of squishies there, Achilles.
Telecom is patting Faker on the shoulder, and they go ahead, they lock it in. We got pawns in game 2. Now we get Fakers in game 3. Zed returning to the Rift yet again. Ah, that sound is absolutely glorious.
Lets you know that there's not a free seat in the house. Everyone is here to see who will be the first victor of the Telecom War. And guess what, LCK fans? You get to see it again on Sunday. So who will fire the first shot? Who will actually go and be the top of the first round robin in the LCK? It's so awesome that coming into the final game of the first round robin, completely equal in game score, in match score, just no head-to-head to separate them. And guess what? 3 games in, we're still waiting for that head-to-head.
Completely uncertain who is going to win this one. Bold moves on both sides. Faker coming back in with his Zed. Smeb now with the Gragas.
Well, body slamming over that wall hurt Huni a lot.
Yep. I think Smeb might have seen that bot, didn't go for that play.
Although Faker's collapsing here.
There's 3 here. Smeb already going down. Big body slam does connect. Pawn gonna have to flash over the wall.
Pawn was actually the superstar there. He went aggressive because he knew if they collapsed on Smeb, he was dead. So he gave up his flash to allow Smeb to exit. I think that was a really heads-up call because otherwise, everyone turns onto the Gragas, he almost certainly dies.
Yeah. What a team player coming through. Well, Score spots out that start. Gonna rotate right over to this blue buff after taking his Raptors. So we'll at least come up with the 2 buffs. Go back over to his red. Blank is hurting a bit, but still alive, but has to go ahead and peel back after taking the red. So it's going to delay him quite a bit.
And you notice Score started enemy blue. After they made the Rengar accountable, saw him chunked out. Knew he was going to be starting topside to secure a buff because if you start somewhere else and there's wards there, you'll lose the buff and get 3 buffed anyway. But Score is being just the most annoying Graves possible, taking both camps that Blank will walk to. And this also plays to tendencies because you think of Peanut, he's definitely going to start invading when he gets invaded on, but that's not Blank's style. He's only going to end up with 1 camp on this side of the jungle.
Yep. Score doesn't have enough time to go ahead and take the Gromp. Intelligently placed a ward at the jungle entrance to spot Blank coming back in. So he peels out of there safely, but now can just go ahead, pick up his red buff, and then could just rotate right back up to the top side, get the blue, maybe even hand it off to Pawn for an early blue.
And almost certainly going to be a 3 buff, and you see why it was a 2-man invade and no more, because it was about being able to 3 buff, allowing Score to have vision and time on the route of Blank in the jungle, and to just power farm up a Storm. So really nicely orchestrated 3 buff. We've seen a few of these start to come through on 7.3. A thing that you have in the playbook but don't always bring out, but a match like this is exactly when you do.
Huni's now rotating down the river to accompany Blank into the jungle. Will spot out Score with that scrying plant. They take away the blue buff, so 3 buff.
Mada's walking up. They want to fight. Mada's walked all the way from bot lane.
Blank has it. They are still collapsing. Smeb going to go for it. Gets a body slam in on the Blank. He's going low. Score comes up with the first blood. Now Huni in a bad spot. Flashes away. From that big shock blast.
I don't want this. He really wants it.
Lands the Q. The exhaust comes down a slow from the barrel, and that's going to be concussive blows. That's going to be 2 kills. Picked up a double kill. Delayed. Goes over to Score, and KT just explode onto the Rift for game number 3.
And in Season 4, Mada redefined roaming with his warding, with his roams with Dandy. He legit sacks lane, walks all the way to top, makes it work with the Flash Winter's Bite. And this is exactly the start KT were looking for. 3 games in a row, they've got the early lead, but they made it count in game 2, and Mada made it count there, and look at Score. He is massively ahead now. He picked up the double buff refresh from killing Rengar. Almost has Warrior Enchant. He is about as accelerated as a Graves could be.
Such a great start there. And SKT, you know, they bit the bullet. They wanted to go for the invade, get rid of that blue buff so they didn't get triple buff, but
how far in advance did Braum see that coming? Did Mada see that coming? He started roaming up the moment he even thought about there being an invade. It was the play that made sense. He drew in the extra resource, not Peanut solo invading, Blank is much more about preparing for a safe invade. But when you're willing to leave lane with no boots at level 3 and make a play like that, then you're the master. OGN put up that shot calling clip of Mada, specifically shot calling, I think in the Samsung series, and it shows just how next level. There's no coincidences about Mada as a player. Everything is about his ability to time, his ability to see things moments in advance, and Faker can do that in the mid lane in the 1v1. That much is established. Thanks, Mada, for that story. But great stuff from Mada in the bot lane.
Yeah. Shot calling from SKT in this early game, just a bit lacking. We'll see if KT can keep up the pace. Right now, just going to be a couple hundred ahead. 700 to be exact.
But it's not admirable for SKT to have to react to a new jungler in the last game. Sure, it can throw a curveball, but in my head, a series that starts with Blank and goes to Peanut is preferable to the other way around, because throwing in the aggressive wildcard seems to be a lot more hard to set up for than throwing in the predictable wildcard. We know how Blank plays. He's not suddenly going to become a new style of jungler, and he's been very well exploited by KT.
Yeah. We've only seen him twice this year, so we haven't even gotten much of a gauge on how much he's improved. Hunito in a bad spot gets knocked back by the explosive cask. He knows he's dead, just wants to get the minions here at the end. We'll be able to soak those up, but hands a third kill over to Score.
Nice to be the young of the team. For Score, he's the oldest player, therefore he's like, this is my kill. I'm going to be a frontliner on Graves, get my damage, and even get something tanky like Asterix Gauge to not be an extra target for Zed on the all-in. Speaking of all-ins, that one is just a chunk out from Zed. Could use the ultimate. That's what you can do. You can just rush Asterix Gauge, and sure, you don't have access to QSS anymore, but you do not die as easily in one rotation. Back Cleaver into Asterix Gauge, also a possibility.
A lot of pressure now falling to Faker and Bang to be the ones that bring this game back above the water.
Wolf, you should not be there.
Yeah, Wolf is in a bit of a rough spot here. Has a great health shield still that he can pop. We'll pop it now. Bond waits this out and has a shock blast.
Ooh!
Almost comes up with it.
That's when you feel good about taking those extra armor runes.
Helps him out a bit, but they're still going to lose that blue buff.
Blank is completely envisioned everything he does, whether it was the vision provided by his team at level 1 or the wards they put down. Able to take a second blue, gives it over to Pawn. Have more control in that mid lane. Obviously not the highest value blue to steal away, given that it is the Zed. As Bang knows to expect Score on this side of the map, but you can only wait so long. So what you do there is you wait till the min's going to crash and then you walk up. You don't need to walk up before that, but look at Bang. He knows very clearly what's happening, but unbeknownst to him, Score backed away, just going to solo down an Infernal Drake.
And what better Drake to start with in Game 3 of a Telecom War, so we get the Infernal, see what comes out after that one, but already such a strong start from KT Rolster. Now they'll have that extra 8% stacking up in the background as they take it down. A Mountain Drake will be the second.
They're just so smart. I mean, I'm obviously a big fan of macro play. Being an LCK analyst, how can you not be the millionth camp in a row that they know? I mean, Blank's, they're basically clairvoyancing the camp as he gets there. The only person who doesn't know is Blank.
There's a throwback.
It's, they've played this game out so well. You can't help be in awe a little bit of how clean the first 8 minutes have been for KT. And again, may not count for much. They could still lose the game, but when you see 8 minutes like this, you think how many teams in the world could pull off this clean an early game? One hand is already too big a sample size because this is just next level stuff.
I mean, there has to be even an asterisk to that statement because it's this clean of an early game against the #2 team in the league. It's SK Telecom.
I mean, the #1 team in the league, right? They're both #1 teams.
That's true.
Even in coming into Game 3, they're #1 teams.
I'm pushing things a bit further up the timeline potentially here. It still has yet to be proven.
And super teams, you know, that was another thing that was yet to be proven. Longzhu tried it. Sure, not with the caliber of talent here, but still for 2016 spring, it was a very strong team. And people were right to be skeptical. But there was so much talent. There's literally Pawn as the biggest weak link. And hell, he's pretty damn good in the mid lane too. But the fact that they've gelled so quickly is the surprise. You know, both teams have new parts to them.
Looney, he's trying to get this.
I don't know about that flash.
Control ward, flash forward. They knock him back in towards Score.
Not dead yet.
Should be able to close this up. That's going to be Deathmark coming through from Faker, but he takes too much damage. Deathmark pop will still come up with a kill. Faker makes it out alive. But they lose 2 members for it. Abyssal Voyage comes through from Bang and Wolf.
Mada
Arriving just on the back end of the fight. Mada does roam up by himself. That gives him alone time. over to Deft. Smeb goes forward, still has the ultimate. If he wants to try to pop Bang in, looks like he's going to think better of it.
It's not the old ultimate anymore, though. The reliability is a lot harder.
There we go,
now,
still
though.
finds it. Bang has the flash, holds on to it, waits for the Devour to come through from Wolf. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Huni going to TP in, looking for a kill onto Deft, but it gets matched immediately by Smeb. It's a game of chicken, and both of them decide to back down.
And the teleport game is not one that Smeb has been able to win this series. Either been outfoxed. Huni's been able to win. He's either been outfoxed or matched, and in this case was matched.
Boom.
They get the turret as well. They were trying to stop the first brick from going over to KT, but Infernal Drake, first brick, and desperately SKT want to break a top lane or a bot lane because then they can start the 1-3-1. I don't know about the flash here from Huni.
Yeah. Very bizarrely played.
Reminds me of trying to flash something like a Fizz Q and lose the damage, but didn't happen in that particular interaction. Damage did still register.
Yep, meanwhile, down bot. Deft going low. Faker gets locked up by the concussive blows. Mata has to flash away. He'll come down from Deft. Yep, Score is here, and he's very strong. Blank gets locked up. Devour comes through from Wolf. Can they make it out alive? Slow comes through. They might just have to sacrifice the top catch. And it looks like that might just be the play here. Wolf doing his damnedest, but just nowhere to go. Score still fiercely
Still got a lot of burst.
pushing into the face of Faker. He's got 2 levels on him, but he still just is not afraid. Curtain Call thrown down. On to Pawn, gets locked up by the Deadly Flourish. Curtain Call's here. Pawn jukes out 1. Can he juke out more? Flame Spitter's coming through. Fourth one's
might just kill him.
Can he get the kill to Huni? No, not going to happen. The overheat auto attack's doing too much. That will be Pawn going down. They had to invest quite a bit to take him out. But they lose Wolf on the bottom side of the map. It's still about a 3,000 gold lead established for KT. This is looking a lot like game 2. Def comes forward, Ash Arrow just to the side, trying to predict Huni walking back up the lane. Doesn't find it.
Easy juke there. SKT need to make these sort of plays. The pressure is with KT Rolster, so even though they need 2 people to take down 1, those are sort of steadiers that allow side lanes to get a bit safer, that allow vision to be established. SKT do have really good defensive vision already established, but some of the damage has already been done. It's not as big a gold lead as it feels. KT are not as far ahead as maybe they think. We know that it's only 2.7k or so a gold lead, and Faker can finally start entering the side lane. Let's see if the punish can be here by KT.
Mata is here to try to follow up onto Faker. It's the first hit in, throws out the Glacial Fissure. He will be slowed as he tries to walk across this, but big Abyssal Voyage comes through from Wolf and Bang. And with that arrival, it's just going to be KT going ahead and backing off, so can't even get the flash out of the Zed.
Really nice dodge with the death mark onto the ultimate there from Mata. Saw through it. You know he's always steps ahead, Faker, and made old man Mata look a little bit silly. Old man Mata had a silly game in game 1 as well. If you go back and watch that VOD, don't look for vintage 2014 Mata. You got very much 2017 Thresh.
It's one of those things where you wonder, why does this guy have a Thresh skin?
He used to be super good at Thresh, but yes, many years later.
He still has played some very good games.
I don't think he'd be offended to be told that his mechanics aren't what they were in 2014, but his brain, was what he's prized for. He thinks on a different level to many players, and he's been good here.
Equalizer thrown down, gets decent bit of damage onto KT, just really trying to dissuade them from going for more damage onto that tier 1 turret in mid, and it works out. Good walk down by Huni. Waves in the middle of the lane and top, so it buys him a bit of time. Now Smeb gonna have that inside track. Back up towards the top lane, clears out some vision. It's a little bit risky with Blank nearby. There's that body slam over the wall.
Only just didn't have the Rengar on top of him. If the model was actually any further on top of the Gragas, wouldn't have been able to body slam over. It did have flash if it was necessitated. I like what Huni's been doing in this game. He's been losing lane. It's 1 and 3, but he's on team fighter. He has the Leandries, and it's good to see him reacting first and roaming first, because if Smeb is allowed to roam first...
Flash body slam. They try to pop him back in. Huni does flash away. This time, the flash is good. And he makes it out alive.
Most top laners that are playing this Gragas are not willing to ult flash. Ult flashing does actually have the same kind of flavor as the previous body slam flashes used to. Used to be body slam flash into ultimate, but now of course you have the fixed duration. You can ult flash, but very, very tricky. Certainly very easy to look silly on, and look, he doesn't get the kill, but they get the objective they were looking for. There's still pass marks there.
Still feeling happy about that one. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, it's going to be a bit of a party. This Voyage coming through, Pawn getting exhausted, already down below half HP. Smeb does finish channeling this one. Going to slow up Blank. Wolf tanking up the turret. Glacial Fissure comes through to lock him in. He will die. Smeb trying to chase down
Here comes
onto
Ash.
the rain guard to get a little bit more. But now with Death coming on the sidelines, flashes in for the volley to slow up onto Blank. Cast comes through, it's not enough damage to finish him off yet. Now
It's
the
gonna be a
TP's coming through
turnaround.
from Huni. This could be a big fight for SKT. Death getting hit in the backside by the curtain call. Fourth shot won't connect, but it doesn't matter because Faker comes up with a kill. Huni barely limping out with his life. They find 3 kills in the bottom lane. And that is just going to be a massive pickup for SKT.
And a really big decision-making misfire by KT Rolster. Remember, they were 2-man pushing in the top lane. Sure, Smeb can teleport down, but no way for Graves to be there. And they're doing this not against an Ezreal who needs to close the distance, but against a Jhin who can be impactful just wading in from the mid lane. So well punished. Big mistake there is Smeb doesn't want Faker to recall.
No shopping for you.
Money between those two, and so far so good. So they draw the teleport here as they're looking for the turret dive. They try and make something happen, but remember that Graves has no way to get there. He's just walking to blue buff. He doesn't even have an inkling of coming to bot, and everyone from SKT can rotate bottom. Huni decides, he waits for the call. Is this going to be something we can fight? When they see Death flash in, you'll notice the moment Death flashes in, that's when Rumble gets the call to teleport down bot, because suddenly it's frontline Ashe, and this is a fight you can turn around. So this is really good decision-making from SKT, not KT. Big mistakes from KT Rolster. Too much of an investment with no way for Graves to get there.
Really nicely played by SK Telecom. Still fighting on the back foot, but not letting that gold lead stretch. It's still just around 3,000 for KT at the moment. Shock Blast not connecting in onto Bang. Chunk him out. KT, where do they want to push from here? Looks like it might be in for this tier 2 turret. They have the inside track. They can try to poke off. They'll get a little bit of damage in, but unlikely that they'll be able to take it.
You say that, but it's triple AD carry, and they're very out of position, SKT.
See, the wave's not there yet. Second one still back by the tier 2. Huni trying to pinch in from the sideline. Smeb finds him, pops him back with the cast. Goes down to half HP, but the Devour comes through. They lock up Wolf, however. Might be looking for a kill onto the top catch. Smeb still not tanky enough in that front line. Has to peel back. He gets rooted by the Deadly Flourish, but Bang not feeling confident enough to come up with the kill with the curtain call, so won't initiate that. But SKT, they hold on. Lose half the HP on that tier 2 turret in mid, but otherwise don't lose much.
Do lose positioning here, KT Rolster around the Mountain Drake though. With Infernal and Mountain, they would have had a pretty fast Baron, you'd have to think, with triple AD carry. And Groggs does percentage damage as well.
Yeah.
For now though, SKT don't feel strong enough to actually start it. Waiting for some shops, I'd imagine. Parking Faker in a side lane. Kind of out of nowhere. He's 3-0-1, so he has actually been picking up the lion's share of the few kills that SKT have been able to pick up. But doesn't have the defensive vision to do anything other than push minions into a turret. They really need that first turret. You need a side lane turret for Zed to actually threaten onto an inner turret, actually move vision up to the point where the minions are crashing on an inner turret and give you space to work with. The game is still very narrow for the Zed, so might be able to clean up team fights, but is not having the map effect that justifies the Zed pick.
Now things going to slow down a bit. Looks like we had Score go over the wall, starting up that Mountain Drake, but there was a ward, so they do see him. It's a bit too risky, so they won't try to commit in for that objective quite yet. Looks like they just want to return over towards this mid lane, try to get some poke damage down, maybe come up with a pick and get themselves an inner turret out of it.
Poke still a happy spot for KT.
Oh, Score on the sidelines. Deathmark comes through. They pop up Faker. They will find the kill, but the Deathmark will finish off Score in the end. A 1-for-1.
There's a lot of gold on the Faker. They don't have a lot of wave clear outside of him as well.
That's going to be the equalizer thrown down in desperation. Mata gets rooted up, taking a couple turret shots, but overall looks like he may just be okay. Now the curtain call comes through. He's going to be the target as well as Death. It's going to be Smeb and Pawn trying to take this up. Pawn goes back in, really greedy, really aggressive. The bouncing grenade comes through, chunking them all down
so low.
so very much. Bang, flashing forward, can't get the last shot. The Deadly Flourish won't connect. Meanwhile, on the backside of the fight, a double kill comes in for Huni. Won't be able to make it a triple quite yet, as it looks like Smeb will make it out with his life, but Pawn, not as much can be said for him, getting collapsed on by several members. Does he just go for the play? Gonna try to
teleport.
Yeah, jumps back in onto the wave. That's the TP coming through from Smeb to zone them off. He'll cancel that to get the refund on the cooldown. Does keep Pawn alive, but man, really greedy play coming in from KT Rolster.
See, on first hand, you can understand the word greed, but when we see the replay, you'll see that just like the level 1 play, this ended up being necessitated from Pawn. So we tracked the fight, score is dead, but really nice turnaround to Zed. That 0.5 second lack of snapback means that Zed is actually killed before he can snap back, but consider what happens at the start of this fight. Chunked out, they're kiting back into a narrow corridor, no way to get onto Bang when he opens up, and if he's allowed to fire, this is a one fight for SK. This is multiple kills. Pawn, just like at level 1, goes in, because otherwise Deft and Mada kiting back are gonna die for sure. They don't have cooldown on the shield. This would have been 3 or 4 members, it only ends up being 2. So while it looked like greed, I think it was Pawn having a good read on the situation, because if you're just running as Jin fires shots at very squishy members, people are gonna die.
Fair enough, either way. Just surprised that Pawn made it out with his life. We can see that the Mountain Drake was picked up by KT on the back end of that replay.
All right, third time's the charm on this inner turret.
They're trying for it. Faker pops the Youmu's on the side.
Minions are in a really good spot in top and bot lane, all gonna be pushing in.
Equalizer comes down, Mada getting chunked down, Faker goes in, Smeb's gonna body slam him. Trying to delay him a bit, but he goes into the backside with Mada, but he just gets absolutely destroyed. Score comes up with a kill, but now SKT, they are firing back. Curtain call in onto the Graves. A couple more shots will take him out. They can't find it with a 4th and final. They might still be able to finish him off. He quick draws away from that deadly flourish. They got Faker, but they lose for SKT. Winning these fights despite the gold deficit.
There's just no threat onto the Jin, who can continue to open up. Equalizes just enough to set up Deadly Fuzz, set up the onslaught that KT don't have an answer to. So trying to play the map at the right time, and they certainly chose the right time, but such great execution. Initiation is a struggle with SKT's comp, but they're making it work, and for now, halting the onslaught of KT. Notice they don't really get objectives. They can push things out. Maybe Huni will take this bot lane turret, but just like Faker, he doesn't have the most safe vision to do. And all KT are doing is padding the gold lead, or just, I guess, losing the gold lead, given there's now 600 gold. So they feel like they have enough tools, but the equalizers, picture perfect from Huni. A lot of damage start. Deft has to flash preeminently, and even though Smeb ran at Faker, tried to stop him from being relevant, he ults people in, and he kind of ults Huni in to basically burn down the Ashe, and then it's just squishies everywhere to be cleaned up.
And the last 2 fights, the one that exploded just before when we had that replay, it comes off the backside of the equalizer. It seems like KT just keep forgetting that this equalizer is available, and Huni has been laying them down the same way every time they push up for that tier 2 turret. Now though, fight breaking out in the mid lane. Deft getting jumped on, going down. By the look of things, Deathmark comes through. Can they finish him off? He's exhausted, and he will fall. That's going to be Bang coming up with the kill.
Backline,
double kill. And now here comes Faker. Comes up with 1, but he pays for that one with his life, as Pawn will barely slink out of this one. But yet again, KT just losing these fights to SK Telecom. Pawn finds an answering kill with a big shock blast onto Wolf.
Calling an award.
But it's a 2 for 4 in
Bang.
favor of SKT. Do they go for this?
Yep.
Oh. All right, well, the Deadly Flourish, not fast enough for Pawn. He was not window shopping, as it turns out.
Definitely can't go and queue that one point. He needs to run away this time.
Yeah.
That was a great play from Huni. The teleport was really good to see as well. Finally got in the backline. Not an easy thing to pull off on the Rumble. Didn't even have to use the Zonias. Fight after fight. KT doesn't want to be fighting. They want to be setting up. But the setups have been thwarted by SKT time and time again, even though they have a front-on composition that you think could be disengaged from. But they're making us a believer in KT. Keep running it down mid and keep getting punished.
Yeah.
We're going to see the Reaper. Remember, Deft doesn't have summoners, so he's going to die eventually. Just trying to do as much damage as possible.
Yeah, and
was always going to die.
But
Huni comes in from the Raptors, and the equalizer is perfection, just like some of Smeb's equalizers previously. Runs in, kills score, basically solo kills Pawn as well, and the backline doesn't end up being as landslide a victory as you might expect from SKT, but Huni answering the critics, including myself, wondering where his big teleports were. You just saw one on the Rift.
I mean, again, night and day from Game 2 to Game 3 here for Huni. The TP coming through, something that was severely lacking for him on the Rift in Game number 2 with that Nautilus. But now, being the playmaker, 6-3-6 on that Rumble, up quite handily in CS, as you might expect over that Gragas. But this was a bit of a gamble run by KT and Smeb, bringing this Gragas up into the top lane, and so far, it set up a couple picks.
Look, the teleports will only get better. Let's be real. He has a lot of experienced people to learn from on his team. The thing you can say about Huni is that his champion ball is exactly where it needs to be. All the meta tanks and Rumble are his champion ball, which is exactly what you need to be able to do. We know he can play the carry situation, the Gangplank, for example. Finally, this turret that's been just such an onslaught for KT is taken out, but it's answered by a turret for KT. A credit to Huni where credit's due. He's still a young player, especially when it comes to playing in Korea. He clearly will get better. And at least he's changed the champion pool from the Lucian top meme to very much the meta picks.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, Shen, Maokai, Gragas, well, the one that he brought out.
Gangplank?
Something that he's been very known for. I mean, he gets his hands on the Camille every now and then, and even Jace in the top lane, so.
That's all the champions. There's no more when it comes to meta picks. ADD somewhere being like, what about Sion?
What about my Sion?
You know he's the only
What
person
about
to play
Olaf?
Sion in the LCK.
Yeah.
Drawn Sion bans very frequently as well. It's gone on it feels like, honestly, Season 2 of Nivea a little bit, where it's like, I don't get it. Let's just ban that champion. I don't know.
I mean, we're probably going to see that banned away in our second set of the day, because, again, this is just the first set top Smithy. We're just starting things off with the Telecom war.
I mean, no one plays Sion at all, anywhere. So it's just like, well, we can't get practice, so I guess we ban it. I don't know.
It's just so
And
good
then
at
Ian gets Syndra again. He's 7-0 on that Syndra. But those are stories for another series. We're still smack bang in the middle of Game 3 of the Telecom War, of the decider to find out who will be first place going into the second round robin, which actually does start with our second series of the night.
Yep.
SKT have won the last few team fights. Rengar ultimate popped. Ashe is not there. This is risky from KDB to be so far up.
And they're pushing in fearlessly, clear out that vision. Map's going to body slam away from the Deadly Flourish, make sure it doesn't get rooted down. Scrying. Plant does come through. Yeah, it spots everybody out, so they can't rotate over, try to start up that Infernal Drake, so that will elude them for a bit longer.
Run it down mid.
It worked the third time. I don't know how it I don't know how it goes beyond 3. Gonna go ahead and rotate back. Huni does have the TP available.
They can just DPS this one down very fast.
Yeah, I don't think there's gonna be any counterplay to this one. So second Infernal Drake is snatched up for KT Rolster. Could be a potential win condition for them as we edge towards that Elder Drake spawning.
One thing I want fans to understand about this game is that there's no Zyra, there's no Karma, it's not mage supports. So the different thing in a game like this is that they have multiple people on each side that can ward. Karma often gets picked when you go for wards. There's a lot of picks in Game 1 and 2. The playstyle changes when you have melee supports because warding is that much more reliable. Tahm Kench can walk up, put down a ward, and if there's one person, probably not going to die. If there's more people, probably not going to die. It's really decisive Baron call. This might decide the game.
Yeah, Smab's down in the bottom lane, going to be TPing in right into the front.
Returning.
Down to half HP. Looks like SKT will go ahead and peel back. Big shot blast comes through. Score goes in the front line. Wolf will get locked up by the Ashe Arrow, and he gets deleted. Equalizer comes down, but it's cutting off KT for the rest of their squad, but there's just no way for SKT to pick off those members in the front. So they're just going to go ahead, have to lose Wolf, which probably have to say is the best case scenario.
Do they
for
try
them.
the Baron? They're going to.
They start this one up. They have that double Infernal with the Mountain. Curtain Call comes in as an answer. So KT just getting rid of another ultimate.
Get the teleport out of Smeb. That's why they started the Baron. They clearly were not willing to look for a 50-50 smite. Back away from it, but someone had to die, and Wolf was not able to actually pop his gray skin, so died instantly. Team fighting still very tricky for SKT to book up. Looked good the last few fights, but remember, that was where Bang was able to open up next to a turret out of threat range and do a lot of damage. Be that long-range artillery that Jhin can be. But
I mean,
when you're hitting the Baron, there's no long-range artillery anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Bang's been able to do this whole time. Again, deathless right now on Jhin, 307. Everybody else has died at least twice.
But think about why. Because if they're fighting in short range, Gragas, excellent range interrupt, assuming the Edge of Night is not up, of course. Ashe Arrow, Braum also. But because they're fighting as a siege comp under enemy turrets, there's so much safe space for Bang to open up there, but much less around Baron.
Oh, they're looking for something.
Big equalizer.
Equalizer comes down. Pawn already down to half HP. Abyssal Voyage coming in for the sidelines with Blank in tow. Death gets locked up immediately. It looks like he's going to fall. Yes, he does. The bot lane of KT wiped off the map. Smeb not able to contribute an ultimate to that. And now with Deft and Mata both gone, SK Telecom are going to set their sights on that Baron.
Baron was the thing that thwarted Score in that famous final game. This time SKT are completely set up for it though. 5 members strong. They're DPSing it down quickly even without Mountains or Infernals. Faker on zoning duty as well.
Yep. Shock blast. Bang goes low.
Baron
only
at
down to half
4,000.
HP. Faker goes in, gets a lot of damage down on the pawn, knocks him down to
Here's
about
the turn.
half HP. Curtain call coming through. Bang still safe in the back line. Baron resets, so just going to be looking for a pick here. All of KT make it out of range. Flash forward from Wolf with a tongue lash. Trying to come up with the kill. Smeb goes in, might just be the sacrificial lamb. Pawn comes up with a kill onto Faker, but he will get taken out in the end as Wolf goes forward, finds that killing blow. Smeb does eventually go down as Huni burns him out with a flame spitter. Score very close to giving Bang his first death of the game.
But they got a 2 for 1. They got a 1 for 2 and stopped the Baron 3v5. Exactly what KT wanted. Lost the minimum given the fact that it looked like it was going to be a complete suicide interrupt. So played around threat range super well. Don't give up the Baron. Baron might have been the end of the game, Achilles. Zed's getting big, entering a side lane with Baron buff minions. We know how that goes. But able to equal out the vision, and this series lives on and might actually extend past 40 minutes.
Yep, it's looking like it. Flame Horizon achieved for Huni as he gets that nice 311 CS on the Rumble.
He started off 1 and 3, but Smeb has kind of spent the rest of the game looking for engages, so it's tanking up turret shots and Jhin ultimates and basically being a front line that KT has lacked all series. Hasn't been in lane much, so for Smeb to actually have 15 out of 20 kill participation and Flame Horizon lets you know that for once in this particular player matchup, it's actually Huni that's styling on Smeb.
Yeah, and I feel when KT finally decides to play a tanky top laner and ends up being Gragas.
Smeb's like my kingdom for the Jace. I just wanted to play Jace.
Could have been a Jace, could have seen a couple other things come out for him. Maybe not into the Rumble, that would be a bit rough. Could have played the reverse matchup with the Nautilus. Or no, it was banned away by the final by SK Telecom. Never mind.
And now,
Shen was up, but that doesn't sound right.
That's true, and Smeb has had enough of Shen. He plays Maokai only.
His Shadow Dashes left something to be desired.
Well, Taunt Flash is hard, but Smeb made it look extra hard, so I guess back to the practice tool for him. We saw our Observer playing around with the practice tool. He really liked Misfortune ultimates, apparently.
No cooldown Misfortune.
This is the part where both sets of fans start to really hold their breath. Playing around Baron. Baron probably closes the game out for either team. We're at that point in the game. KT gonna start it. Want to force the teleport from Huni.
Yeah,
remember, it's in double lane. Infernal.
Yeah, plus the Mountain Drake. Baron already down
give it up.
Below half HP. They have to get in here. Blank maybe coming up the steal. He's not able to find it. Score. Gets it, but can they get kills on the backside of this? Redemption coming down, keeping KT alive as best as they possibly can, but Faker already takes out Def. They already get rid of Mata, the first 2 to die. Yet again in this fight, Pawn goes down. Score trying to exit on the backside, takes the blast cone for a ride, but he's still getting pinched on by Blank and Wolf. Looks like he will be able to make it out. Has that Baron empowered recall. They pick it up, but they lose 3 members. 40 seconds on Pawn, 25 on Deft. What can SK Telecom take in the meantime?
I mean, both these teams struggle to play in narrow areas. It's still a rumble, this time on the side of SKT. Good smite from KT, but all they really succeed in doing is taking the Baron off the map. They don't actually get to keep many of the buffs. They pass over more gold. We're seeing in our picture-in-picture on our side that not going to be any major objectives for SKT to pick up. And that's really all you can say for some of these players is that, okay, it's a mistake from KT, or at least it's an overforce from KT, but SKT aren't getting much out of the trades.
Yeah, just a Mountain Drake for now. As they attack that onto the board. So Elder Dragon, when that comes up, would still be very devastating for SK Telecom if KT is able to snatch that.
And the 10 kill lead does give them a 5,000 gold lead, so gold lead the only thing they were able to pick up from the kills, and a lot of standing gold to be picked up for SKT as well.
Yep.
And now Guardian Angels are starting to come in. Even Rumble going to be purchasing into one of those very soon. Tell from the chain vest. KT are in the reverse spot they were in the previous game, where they really need to choose the right fights. If they can kite around an open area and, you know, just cancel out the equalizer with a redemption, maybe they can win a team fight, but it's a big maybe. If Mata can get to level 16, level 18, get tanky enough to actually be a frontline Braum and not basically only have a chain vest to his name in terms of tanky stats, again, maybe things can get there, but we're getting to the part of the game where Smeb, the only frontliner in the game, he's Gragas, you know, who does fall off the most when it comes to tankiness and late game teamfight impact. He's getting closer and closer to being an interrupt bot and an ult bot.
Just a rough spot to be in.
Well, they need to be decisive here. They see SKT, and specifically Faker, in the bot lane.
Like,
so
there's going to be a trade of turns. I mean, you can see just how quickly those do go down.
it needs to be a trade up, though. If they trade evenly, then Zed is going to have a field day. So they need to brute force, and it's on SKT to try and hold.
Shock Blast only connects on the Wolf. Mata's already very close to
Look
dead.
at that damage.
Throughout the redemption, Ash Arrow comes through.
Can
They
they get a
find
pick?
Wolf, body slam forward. The cast comes through, but it just knocks him away. They can't get on the bang. He's going to open up the curtain call. Big equalizer thrown down. Mata, he's going to be the first one to fall yet again. Heal coming out of depth, trying to keep them alive. Give them that little
Zed
burst
didn't
of speed.
recall.
But that's going to be Faker just splitting in the bottom lane. And SKT, all they have to do is
Keep
just delay
chasing.
the recalls. That's going to be a body slam back forward from Smeb Pawn, going low. Tries to get onto Blank, but just can't come up with the kill. Bang, finds that one. Finally suffers his first death, but now Score is starting to turn things around. Comes up with a double kill. Going to be looking for Huni. Doesn't have the GA quite yet overheated.
Meanwhile,
can't do anything, but Faker is now splitting in onto the Nexus turret. Score comes up with a triple kill at the end, but Faker is just chipping away at the base.
Two are able to get out, so not quite. It's going to be the hold from KT. Oh boy, this game is so close. Turn around from KT. They realized they couldn't recall. They were going to get chased down like we said. So a quick turn. Score coming around the backside. Remember, he had plenty of kills to start this fight. He's now on 10 after cleaning up Bang. For once, Bang couldn't open up. He'd already ulted, but he thought he was safe in the backline. Burst down by the Graves. No inhibitor turrets go down, so there's still things to defend. There's still time that it will take for Zed to be able to split push. We'll still need a minion wave to end the game. If you lose the inhibitor, if you lose the Nexus turrets, Zed's probably going to decide the game by just being bot lane and forcing multiple members to be there.
Just jump over the wall.
Now things a little bit more tense.
Yeah. So Bang suffering his first death here in game number 3. It was a good run for 1-14.
He loves those ninja tabis. Everybody's got a ninja tabi. Used to be the swiftness boots, no longer. Can't really argue against Graves, Jason Ash.
Yeah. It's a good pickup.
Its only damage coming out of KT is purely physical. Not going to include Iceborne Gauntlet procs from the Gragas.
Single tier from Smeb.
Late game, Gragas doesn't do damage.
Yep. Body slam bot.
Even Malphite
Plus
does
ult.
more damage. They're going to try pushing. They want to force SKT to respond to them. That's why they're always going 5-man. It might have been thought of before, but it's the only option they have now.
I mean, they melt these turrets, and Huni doesn't have a great spot to TP into. They haven't spotted the control ward. It looks like they won't get it now. That would have been the only way he could have come in, but they would have seen the TP anyway.
They don't have wards on the pathways. If he's going to come in, he needs to know that he's going to get 5 members retreating with the equalizer. Otherwise, just best to hold on to the teleport and keep pushing. We're getting to 6 items on every player. Wards are starting to become more and more difficult to be placed. Double warding trinket on the side of SKT. You'll notice, actually, only a single on the side of KT. So they're expecting to need to invest in spot vision, which makes sense with their poke comp, but when it comes to permanent vision, only Mata's around to be able to place it. A couple of wards from Score as well.
Yeah. Now, though, SK Telecom starting to posture up into this top lane. Super Creeps pretty far away from that bottom side, so KT have bought themselves enough time by pushing up and taking that tier 2 turret. All the inners now gone. SK Telecom just have the sanctity of their base to hide behind.
One of the biggest issues in teamfights is that Deft is really only an ult bot. He's 0-7-7, no kills, very far behind in terms of items. Only has a Hex Drinker really to complement the CDR duo that will always come through from an Ashe.
I mean, look at just how much damage Smeb is still taking from Huni on those Electro Harpoons. Leandri's Ravenant's Death Cap on top of everything with a Void Staff. He is just absolutely ripping through the tankiest member of KT Rolster.
Yeah, I mean, Deft's items are so unfortunate. He's forced to go into items that help him survive against Zed. Because QSS is no longer that early option, so Bloodthirster, Hex Drinker, just trying to stay alive as long as possible. He kind of admits that whenever he enters a whenever he enters a fight without Flash, he's basically dead. He wants to put out as much damage as possible before, but short of an Infinity Edge at 40 minutes, very paltry damage coming out from the Ashe.
Yeah.
Needs others to do the heavy lifting, and it's mostly Score. You know, Score and Pawn are really the only damage on this side.
All right, well, Baron Now respawning. Elder Dragon's here. I mean, this is a chance for KT Rolster. They could try to make a trade. If they see SKT going for one of the objectives, they go ahead and swap. With Double Inferno and the Mountain, the Elder Dragon would still be quite good for them.
They're all popped.
Coming out. Blank gonna get slowed up. Curtain Call comes down. Let's chunk out Mana. The Curtain Call coming through now, just chunking them down. Deft trying to kite back. Get a couple hits in on the Blank, who jumps forward. Big Cast comes out. He still has the Guardian Angel keeping alive. Baker goes in the back line, gets popped up immediately by the Glacial Fisher, but Wolf is there for the Devourer to keep him alive. Smeb gets his GA popped. Huni jumping straight in on top of Deft, and that lifesteal is barely enough. It keeps him alive for a couple more seconds, but Baker goes in to finish him off. Comes up with the kill, and it looks like they're winning this quite handily. Score able to fire back, takes one out onto Bang. They lose Smeb in the end. It's going to be 2 kills on the side of each team. On trying to interrupt, but won't be able to find Wolf. He just takes a dive, makes it out of there, but the Super Creep's now starting to chunk down onto these turrets, so Score has to go ahead, clear this out. They won't be able to get rid of any of that vision in the river.
About as even as could be. Deft stayed alive. Sure, not putting a lot of damage, but wasn't the first to fall, even after he was target selected for death by Faker, and they can't actually pick up an objective, even though KT are forced to defend. Now, maybe they'll go for the Elder Dragon. Very low value for SKT, mostly just taking it off the Rift to stop one of those swaps you were talking about, Achilleos. Going to be a pretty free objective here. KT in no way are set up to contest this particular objective, but
I mean, they don't even see it going down. That side of the map is completely dark.
Well, they don't see anyone around Baron, so they can have a pretty damn good guess that it's happening.
Yeah. Well, Smap does have his TP. Do they want to go ahead and thought maybe they'd try to start that one up?
They also know that Abyssal Voyage is on cooldown.
That's true. Abyssal Voyage is on cooldown, but Huni does have the teleport.
I think they're going to rush it again. They have to.
Yeah, Huni goes in for the recall. The Baron's going low. There's just no way for them to get in there. So Baron does go over to KT, but they need to minimize the losses. They need to make it out of here with their lives. Equalizer is back up for Huni. Where does he want to toss it out? They're all in a choke point. There it is. Perfectly laid out on top of everybody, but Blank already falls. Deft gets jumped on. Baker comes up with the kill. They follow over the wall, looking for Smeb, looking for Score. Should be able to take him out. There's no GA available for the Gragas. 4th and final shot would kill. They don't find it. He's going to body slam back. Score manages to recall, so KT loses their bottom lane yet again, but they kill Blank and they get the Baron.
It's only a 2-for-1. How do they keep getting out on a sliver of health? I think SKT played that as well as they could. KT with incomplete information, that's what we have to talk about, is in the replay, you pause it, and you're saying they don't even know they're taking Elder Drake, and on the simple level, sure, they can't know for certain, but when you see no one setting up around Baron, you can problem solve and say, well, they have to be doing the Elder Dragon. That's why they made the call. The smite coming through, remembering Abyssal Voyage was on cooldown, and the other cooldowns were down. They made the informed call that with Double Inferno and Mountain, they could rush down the Baron. But even then, they keep denying the Baron from SKT, but they're never going to get out 5-man because SKT were going to close the distance, and with so much ranged initiation and just Zed popping in, someone's going to die.
That was so much better for KT than it looked like it was going to be, though. Score somehow able to just recall out in lane. Makes it out safely, and Smeb just juking out those curtain call shots keeps him alive.
Well, Deft is tank. He's going to build Chain Vest into Guardian Angel now. This is the, well, they've got a Fed Zed, I hate my life build.
It's definitely feeling that way if you're Deft.
That's how you can play Ashe as a tank. Huni's like, can I play this top lane?
Intriguing. Smeb getting locked down, takes a little bit of damage. Still no Guardian Angel for him. Minutes away from that one coming back up, if I do recall correctly. So he's going to have to be very careful watching his health bar.
And to be clear, this is the correct build from the Ashe. If you go Infinity Edge, you die instantly to Rengar, to basically everyone on SKT. Is the worst day for Ashe. So just going to be trying to do as much damage as possible and be a support carry.
Turret does fall in favor of SK Telecom. Get their second inner taken away from KT. Just need that top lane. Complete the circuit. Inhibitors have respawned for a considerable amount of time, but neither team in a position to go in and push for that one. 45 minutes just about on the clock, and we're still not that close to this game being over. Maybe one explosive team fight, but otherwise, things are starting to stagnate.
Until they don't. We're so close to what is going to definitely be a game-defining fight. 3 people die, and this game is over. We're at 45 minutes. Death time is a very, very long open inhibitor on both sides. It's just honestly a mini-game. Faker versus Deft, and Deft has the most potential here, and both of them have Guardian Angel. So if you're able to equalize out the Zed, if Zed somehow becomes trivial, oh, Bang's got burst. Rengar and Rumble can do a job. There's fights that both these teams can win, but it's going to take some immaculate outplays on one side to decide the game.
Shock Blast comes over the wall, Bang chunked down to about half HP. KT poking down from above, but SK Telecom, they're just going to have the fast track on the mid lane. They could just sprint right up this and maybe try to get some damage down onto the turret. Might be a little bit too risky. Edge of the Night does get popped onto Bang. He's going to be still safe in the back line. Opens up with a curtain call. Nice cast through from Smeb to interrupt that. Minimize the amount of damage coming through.
Best interrupt we've seen all game. Edge of Night was on cooldown, so not able to protect himself from that.
Good pop at that time. Huni using that scrap shield, making sure he doesn't take any burst from that Shock Blast.
If they had any control wards in the bot side, they know where Zed was at. They see him now. KT just want to push up mid, but the minion wave is being proxied by SKT, and they're coming from multiple angles.
Chero comes through, connects onto Huni, devours there from Wolf to keep him alive. Faker still playing up very far into the front line.
The one's tracking cooldowns, Devour down for a couple of seconds.
Oh boy.
Well, they're not going defensively, they're going aggressively because they want this inhibitor.
Yeah, that is not your base KT Rolster, but they say, we know. We're going to go ahead and take this out, get some super creeps working for us.
That can buy
pushing
time.
forward, but can't do much to go into the front. Big equalizer thrown down yet again by Huni, chunking out the members of KT Rolster. Redemption does come through, healing them back up the full. Blank almost loses his Guardian Angel, and Huni has to go into the zone.
He's really low.
He'll comes up, Cass comes through, Faker has to jump back out, still has GA up. Now Score going low, gets waves. That's going to be Bang coming up with a kill. Can he find more? Smeb has his GA, Pawn goes in big, takes out the Jin. So far, a 1-for-1 exchange, but Blank is going to try to upset that. Goes back in, takes out Mata, but the answer with yet another kill as Smeb gets rid of the Rengar. A 2-for-2, Smeb barely limping out of there.
And both sides of the crowd cheer because still 47 minutes into the final game of the first round robin, we are not able to separate SK Telecom T1 or KT Rolster. You can't write the script any better. And we just keep getting 2-for-2s in the most unlikely fashion. 1-for-2s when a team is completely overextended for Baron. Summoner spells are down. Guardian Angels are down. But still, we wait to find out who will take this first Telecom war.
I mean, 2-for-2 for KT, but they get the inhibitor on top of it. So nice pressure bought for them. Fortunately, it's on the same side of the map as the Baron is in 1 minute and 15 seconds. So it should be easy for SKT to prep that and respond.
And now you have to feel like where the items are at. 4 Guardian Angels runs at a Zed comp. Zed's power is more going to be about the AoE than the ultimate. The ultimate's going to be almost instantly negated, and that doesn't mean that Zed is useless. Plenty of AoE damage going to be coming through, but Zed's been forced into some tank items of his own. Sterix, Gage, and Guardian Angel himself. Almost feels like you should sell one of these items like the Yomu's for something like a Ravenous Hydra for some AoE damage, because you're getting KT low and low, but between the respawns, between the Guardian Angel pops, they're just trying to shut down Zed and make the best of the rest of the team, is the KT Rolster team fight strategy.
Yeah. Gold lead has not stretched for either side. And pretty much we're at that point where the gold doesn't really matter. So 5,000, 6,000 separating these two teams. It's just going to be a figure at the end of this game and not impacting these builds a whole lot.
Big difference here is that Score and Pawn, and specifically Score, you see Graves in the late game and you're like, okay, he's kind of tanky, pseudo-tank frontliner, does a bit of damage. Damage onus on this Graves is the highest I've seen of any Graves because Ashe has gone emergency build. It's a lot of consistent damage, but not really any way to inflict damage through a Randuin's and a Deadman's Play, for example, on the Rengar. So the poke is important. The target calling is so important because if you don't call the right target and you share damage, everyone on SKT is going to be 60%, and people on the side of KT are going to be dead. So you're going to need some of that famed Mata shot calling, specifically in teamfight shot calls, to make the most of it. A lot of flashes on cooldown. KT trying to brute force this out of this inhibitor turret.
They're pushing in yet again. Smeb just going to tank this one up. They don't have minions for a considerable amount of time.
Don't get much done.
Yeah, they don't get a whole lot down onto it, even with the Mountain Drake not helping them out enough.
The shove is so much faster than SKT's that every time they see SKT enter mid, instant clear a wave and threaten for a die.
Yeah. Super creeps are starting to push up inside the base of SK Telecom. Turn a couple hits from dead. Pawn will be able to finish this one off. Well, the hunt gets popped by Blank.
This needs to be SKT's fight.
Yeah, he's looking in from the sidelines. Equalizer comes down yet again. Def down to half HP. Faker goes into the back line, but he gets knocked up immediately. GA will get popped on him. See Def coming back up from his own Guardian Angel. Blank going in, just trying to take him out. They're able to do so as Bang comes up with a killing blow. That's going to be a second one.
SKT's done it.
Mata goes down the bottom lane of KT, yet again falling. Smeb will get his Guardian Angel popped. He's surrounded by SK Telecom members. He's going to fall. Looks like Pawn will as well score. The only one to make it out with his life. And SK Telecom still hold on, but they have to answer these super creeps. Bang, he's going hunting. Can he find it? Looks like the answer is no.
SKT want to enter the game, Achilles. They have super minions, or they have at least a minion wave pushing in the mid lane. Only Score is alive, but because they have to answer with just a single inhibitor, they're going to teleport anyway.
Yeah,
they want the end.
This might just be it. Bang does so much damage to these structures. The super creep's still pushing in. The Nexus is exposed, but Wolf is there to manage it. They have so much damage, even with Faker being as low as he is. If Score could get a pop on him, that might be enough to dissuade.
Though. They're not fully committing to ending. Zed's recalling. Game's not over.
Oh, they do go ahead. They peel back. The Baron's up. They have a large window where they can go take this. 25 seconds on Smeb, 30 on Pawn. So they could just force this up. Hooney and Blank still relatively healthy. And they have plenty of damage here with Faker and Bang.
But a lot of power is lost from KT. They have 4 Guardian Angels entering the fight.
Score. Can you come up with this one? Ash Arrow comes down. Blank gets locked up. Baron quite low. He used the collateral damage. Score would have to enter the pit. He's just not there in time.
But he's buying time.
He finds something on
they
the back,
fight.
And he goes for it, trying to look for Hooney. The TP coming through from Smav. They jump forward. Mata goes in with the Q, pops up Blank with the Glacial Fissure. They come up with a kill. Hooney, the Guardian Angel, just one hit from going down, but the Devour is there from Wolf to keep him alive. Mata throwing out the Redemption to try to finish him off. Won't be able to find it.
And Score made the percentage play. Didn't look for the steal. Just wanted to kill someone, because remember, it's a naked Nexus. They're going to try and finish the game 5v4 if they can. But because they only get a single pick, they can't take down Hooney. 5v3, they can probably end the game. But either joyously or frustratingly, the game will continue.
Yep. 51.5 minutes now on the clock. They're trying to push in, get rid of that top inhib turret. He's unable to do so thus far. Still evading them.
Big
Now
engage on
body
Faker.
slam forward on a Faker. He goes straight into the death mark. On top of Smap, gets a little bit of damage now, but he's still relatively healthy on the Gragas. Mata gets popped as GA there to back him up.
For 25.
That's gonna be Bang throwing up the curtain call, looking for some damage, but he takes a big burst from the shock blast. Has to peel back and cancel the rest of it immediately. The Bang gonna go ahead and peel back. Nexus already taking a little bit of damage, and Hooney will get his GA popped. SKT still desperately holding on. Blank is up in 10 seconds. Can they buy enough time? Wolf has the Devour, spits out. Hooney, that's gonna be Bang going down. Faker going back in, trying to get on top of Score. He pops the GA, but can he do enough? It looks like he will not be able to. Def firing away, but can't get it. Scores here. Can he finish it off? The answer is gonna be no. That's an ace coming through from SK Telecom. It looks so good for KT, but they just cannot finish it off, and that should be SKT winning the game.
What an insane hold from SKT specifically. Buying time for the respawn onto Blank. He gets back in, he runs it down mid. Minions will be coming soon. They still have to play base defense. They can't send everyone to end the game. They're going to send 2. Faker's walking up. First respawn is still 20 seconds away. It's Mata. He can buy a bit of time with exhaust. But surely this is it. Surely SKT have done it. This game has seesawed so many times, but they're going to run it. Mata's dead, and I think SKT have won a Titanic series in just the most dramatic fashion possible.
Super creep there to back him up, to tank up the turret shots. They take out both of them. The Nexus is exposed. Mata, if there was anything you could do, I'd be so damn impressed, but it's just hopeless now for KT Rolster. SK Telecom, in such a back and forth third game, are able to come out on top. They win the first Telecom war of spring 2017.
The Telecom war that everyone around the world waited for, delivered, and then some. The best of 3 I have ever seen in League of Legends history. It went both ways. Great victories by both sides in Game 1 and Game 2, and the most titanic struggle, a Twilight struggle you could say, in the final game is won by SKT. But it was a game of inches. The difference between KT and SKT is separated in multiple hits on a Nexus because they're macro, they're micro, the outplays from both sides. It was beautiful.